Senators Antonio Brenner and others to amend next sections of the revised code to permit a resident of a long-term care facility to conduct electronic monitoring of the resident's room and to designate this act as Esther's Law.
Question is, shall the bill pass? And the chair recognizes Senator Antonio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to urge your support for substitute Senate Bill 58. This bill is named for Esther Piskor. Esther's family was concerned about her quiet moods and the unexplained bruising on her body when she was a resident in a nursing home in Northeast Ohio. Her family then placed video cameras in her room and caught horrific footage of her being assaulted by healthcare professionals. Unfortunately, this is not unique to Esther, nor to Northeast Ohio. There have been numerous cases across the state of bad actors, including one in 2019 where an aide at a Dayton nursing home was charged with abusing a 90-year-old woman in her care. When the woman was unable to get out of bed, the aide jerked her violently into a sitting position and then proceeded to force her into a standing position, leaving her with neck pain and bruising on her arms. The goal behind this legislation is to give elderly residents and their families the option to place an electronic monitoring device or a little camera in a fixed position to visually record activities, perhaps sounds in the room. The legislation will help mitigate occurrences of elder abuse within nursing home settings in Ohio, which refers to any knowing, intentional, or neglect act by a caregiver or any person that causes harm or serious risk of harm to a vulnerable adult. Ohio receives more than 19,000 reports of elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Now, a few items, just a few details about the bill. This is a permissive bill, which means just what it says. If only if someone wants to do this, may they put a camera in the room. It permits a resident or those with legal authority for them to authorize the installation and use of an electronic monitoring device in the resident's room in a long-term care facility. It requires that the cost of installation, maintenance, and removal of the device be paid for by the resident or legal guardian. It requires that a resident with a roommate get consent from the roommate or their guardian before installing use of the monitoring device, even though it will only be focused on that person, not the roommate. It permits the long care facility to post a notice that electronic monitoring device is in use in that room. And I have to say that I've been in long care facilities where I've seen signs like that already. It prohibits any long-term care facility from discriminating or retaliating against a resident because of their decision to authorize the installation and use of an electronic monitoring device. Esther's Law, we believe, can provide families peace of mind by allowing them to check up on their elderly loved ones. COVID-19 pandemic further highlighted the necessity of this legislation when in-person visits were not even possible. Passing Senate Bill 58 demonstrates this General Assembly's dedication to aging citizens of Ohio, and it's an important first step in bringing families closer and we believe saving lives in the long run. I want to thank Senate Health Committee and Chairman Huffman for moving this bill through the committee. Proponents of the bill that we so appreciate include certainly Stephen Piskor, who's been a very vocal advocate. Many of you, I am sure, have received emails and communications from him. He's an incredible advocate. And so we appreciate all that he has contributed to making this possible. He originally brought the bill to me. Then also family members Natalia Montemaro and Tabitha Vani, members of the public who submitted testimony and who have families in long-term care facilities. I want to give a special thanks to the Ohio Healthcare Association. I've worked extensively with them to provide solutions for the senior consumer protection legislation. And as we all know, it's really not possible to bring legislation forward and then move it through without working with those involved in whether it's the business that we're trying to amend legislation for, or the consumers or the constituents. And we had the wonderful opportunity to work with everyone. The Departments of Health, Aging, and the Ombuds offices all gave us insights and helped us work through language that you have before you now, after many drafts, I might say. But we got there. And finally, I want to thank my joint sponsor, Senator Brenner, his legislative staff, Charles Perry and Aaron Riggins. I also want to thank my legislative staff, Nicole Schneider, John Schlosser, and Andrea McDonald, and our policy staff, Carla Carvalho. I also want to give a special thanks to LSC. They are just in those offices somewhere. We never see them, or rarely see them. But once again, they did such an incredible job of giving us an additional draft, asking the pointed questions that we needed to have answered. So again, I feel very good about the legislation that you have before you. Thank you, Mr. President, and we urge a yes vote on this bill.
Thank you, Senator. The chair recognizes Senator Brenner.
Thank you, Mr. President, for bringing Senate Bill 58 to the floor today, Esther's law. Special thanks to my joint sponsor, Senator Antonio. This is a situation which actually came to me from constituents as well within my district, where they described similar types of problems of neglect, where in one case, a person went in to visit their family member and looked into a room and saw a senior laying on the floor beside the bed, neglected. And so the idea was then to be able to have our loved ones be able to monitor their loved ones who are in long-term care facilities. And so this is very important legislation, especially as mentioned about the pandemic, because many people, including some of my own relatives, were not able to go in there to visit their loved ones during this pandemic. So Senator Antonio did a great job describing the reason for the bill and what it does. So I would just like to thank my joint sponsor for all of her hard work on it, her aides, Nicole and John, for their effort in putting into this and making it going forward. Chairman Huffman and his aides Isaac and Will and the whole health committee for working with us on that. My own staff, Aaron and Charles, and definitely a Legislative Service Commission, because we did go through many drafts. And just to double check for some of the members who'd asked before, it is the resident themselves, their guardian, or their attorney in fact, which is the person designated by such a durable power of attorney for health care, are the ones who would have the oversight there. So that it is very narrowly tailored. And thank you, Mr. President. I encourage passage of Senate Bill 58. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the bill pass? The clerk will call the roll, please.
Antonio, Blessing, Brenner, Sereno, Craig, Dolan, Fetter, Gavrone, Hackett, Oakland, Nottinger, Steve Huffman, Johnson, Kunze, Lang, Mahara, Manning, McCauley, O'Brien, Peterson, Reinecke, Robner, Romanchuk, Rulli, Schaefer, Sykes, Thomas, Williams, Wilson, Yuko, President Huffman.
Yes. With 32 yeas and 0 nays, the bill is passed and entitled.
A bill to amend and to enact sections of the revised code to permit a resident of a long-term care facility conduct electronic monitoring of the resident's room and to designate this act as Esther's law.
The question is, shall the title be agreed to? Any member who'd like to add their name to the title, please do so now. The title is agreed to. Bills for third consideration.
Substitute Senate Bill number 83, Senator Williams, Rulli, and others to require the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency to conduct a study of